So now we're going to head into the 50s here, and this is going to be an interesting decade that we can talk a lot about. Fidelity says by age 50, you should have 6 times your annual salary saved up. JP Morgan says at age 50, if you have a $50,000 worth of household income, you should have $120,000 saved. And at age 50 with $150,000 of household income, they want you to have $750,000, $750,000. So 5 times your annual salary. And we said this in the 40s that these numbers are starting to get big and kind of insurmountable for some people. They're thinking that it's just, I'll never get that much. But you were saying before that this is a decade that people can really catch up with some of this retirement savings.
Your 50s are going to be your peak earning years. This should be when, assuming in your 20s and 30s you figured out career path, where you want to go in life. In our 50s, this should be when we're in our highest earning years, able to put away the most amount of money, maxing out our 401k plans at work, contributing to brokerage accounts if we have more money that we want to put towards retirement. We should already have money set aside a little bit for college. I encourage people in their 50s not to take out a bunch of debt for their students if we have adult kids going into college at this time. You can always borrow for college. You cannot borrow for retirement.
That's so true.
So in our 50s, while it may be tempting to help our child out, maybe pay some tuition, I'd rather see the kid take on the debt. And if you have extra money in the end, you can always help them out. But we need to really focus on retirement in our 50s. We maybe have 1.5 decades till retirement is here. And so we need to get the money in there. We need to get it invested into our various retirement accounts, depending upon your situation, and ensure that we are on track. If you have not met with somebody who's going to provide sound financial advice in your 50s, absolutely is when you should start seeking professional guidance.
I think one of the biggest challenges in your 50s is actually going to be maybe lifestyle creep, because if you're making more money, yes, you're going to start finding ways to spend that more money, increasing your lifestyle, living a more lavish life if you're making more money. And, you know, from what I hear from people in my life is that, you know, maybe in your late 40s to your 50s, this might be where a midlife crisis comes in. You might want to go buy a convertible or a car or do something crazy, or start kind of trying to live a life of retirement. And I feel like that's a big challenge, is to maybe like stick with your plan, and if you stick with that plan when you reach your 60s, then you can do some of those things.
I know we're preaching safer retirement. However, I will temper that with, it is important to still enjoy life.
Yes. And
balancing your future self and your current happiness, I think, is important. And again, I think that's where a third party who is unemotional and can look at your situation, a financial advisor, can help you gauge where you are. Additionally, I see most of the successful people, most of the successful clients I have, when they're in their 50s, they're getting the pay raises, they're getting the bonuses. They intentionally take a portion, put it for some fun, and a portion and put it in retirement and don't look at it. So again, the big thing is intentionality when we're getting these bonuses, so that way we don't have to worry about keeping up with the Joneses. And again, these numbers being so big, I think, is an important wake-up call to anybody who maybe needs to catch up. If you are behind and you're getting these big bonuses now's not the time to buy that convertible. Now's the time to just put those bonuses away in our retirement accounts if we need to jumpstart it.
I think that idea of automating your savings and like forcing yourself every paycheck, it's gone before you really see it. Yeah. I think that can be so powerful, because I've seen it in my own situation where like you at first you're like, oh my gosh, I'm putting all this money away before I can spend it, but you adjust to it, and as long as you can cover your normal basic needs, the extra money it's out of sight, kind of out of mind, and I think that's so powerful.
Automation is the key to success. Willpower only gets you so far. Yes. So thinking, oh, you know what, here's the money I'm going to try to save, and then at the end of the month, oops, it's gone. And then that happens again and again. So automating savings, having automatic 401k contributions, having automatic contributions to brokerage accounts, Roth IRAs, depending upon your income, that's going to be the key to success. So that way you can't let your lifestyle creep up. You can also consider, as you're getting pay increases, incrementally increasing your 401k contribution rate as well. So that way you maybe get a little bit of a raise, maybe it's a couple $100 a month, which lets you do something fun, but you don't let the lifestyle dramatically rise and increase. The issue with lifestyle creep too is if we're used to spending more and more and more and more, when retirement comes around the corner, if we haven't adjusted our expectations, that's going to push retirement later. That's going to mean we're going to need a cut in retirement. It's going to have all sorts of implications.
And let's move on to 55 here. Fidelity at 55 says you should have 7 times your annual salary. And that's at $50,000 for JP Morgan. They want you to have $155,000. At age 55 and your household income is $150,000, they want you to have $970,000. So almost $1 million, just over 6 times your salary here. That's again, getting big numbers, but I think a big important thing for people to realize too is this is the decade where you can be catching up, and this is where the catch-up bonus for retirement accounts kind of kicks in. Is that a 55?
Yeah, above 50 and 55. There are different milestones, 50, 55, 59 and a half, and all these big milestones coming up in our 50s that we have to be aware of. Catch-up contributions are an amazing tool if we are behind that allows us to put extra money into retirement accounts. Not a lot. But there are different kinds of accounts. There are 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, and there are joint brokerage accounts. And the IRS dictates how much money we can put into those vehicles depending upon our income and our ages. Being aware of all those rules is what financial people like me love, and working through all that minutia. If you don't like that and figuring all that out, again, seek an independent third party that's a fiduciary that acts in your best interest. Again, when we're in our mid-50s, we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for retirement now. I'd be thinking about things like, do you have adult children coming back home, which is very common nowadays? Are they going to be paying rent or whatnot, or do you want to downsize your home? The number of cars you have. I would start to think about adjusting our lifestyles. The other thing, too, is $1 million seems like a lot of money to a lot of people, and it is certainly. But remember, when we're in retirement, we have a long life ahead of us.
Yes.
And so thinking, wow, that's a lot of money, I can never spend it. I see this happen a lot, where all of a sudden people have their fixed monthly income, but then, oops, they want to go on another vacation, or they need to buy something, need to contribute towards a wedding cost, a down payment on a home for their adult children who have gotten married. Other big expenses creep in there. And so really being mindful, I think, in our late 50s of exactly what's going on in our finances is going to be key.